boom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever in many years Dadcast.
It's been way too long.
Back.
It has been a while.
This sucks because I'm the one that's hosting the Zoom chat, so I literally am the only one that can't have a cool background.
Sucks to suck.
What a drag, man. What a drag.
Yeah.
Bummer, man.
Elliot, why don't you introduce our very special guests?
Yeah, I guess it has been a while. There's entirely possible that we've had viewers who are completely unaware of.
I don't know. Everyone's saying
Steve
Dadcast
and
in the
Larson.
chat, so.
Yes. Steve, the man without the beard and the Dr. Fauci in the background.
Steve is
and
my
Larson,
dad.
Yeah.
And Larson with Hollywood actress Moon Bloodgood in the Terminator Salvation Machinima series in his background.
Yeah.
Correct.
Are two old friends of ours going back to the heyday of Machinima Inc.
We served
Solid
in the Great
days, man.
Machinima War of the 2010s.
Yeah. Long before we broke free, they voluntarily broke free to go on their own.
Yeah.
Voluntarily.
Well, I think
Why don't you
Yeah,
guys
there was
give
a
us
weird
the,
period.
Can
The
you guys give
specifics
us
don't matter.
the top 10 reasons you left Machinima?
number 10.
Number one, we were laid off. We
You're
didn't
laid
leave
off.
any place.
I thought they brought you back like 3 separate times, and then finally on the last time you were like,
Oh, no. Okay. So,
Yeah.
As
That's kind of the timeline.
freelancers,
Yeah.
we did leave of our own volition. That's
So it
correct.
was February 2015. We got the axe. We got laid off. And then 2 months later, a month later, we got a call. Hey, do you want to do this for us? Sure. That lasted about a year.
I don't even think it was
And
a
then we were
month
like-
later. It felt like a week later because we were like, what are we going to do for money? And then they had tried to do so Inside Gaming.
They had remember that podcast.
oh yeah,
Oh my God.
They
by
left.
Matty Kirsch.
Oh my God. That
And they
was
had all
wild.
that they had all this advertising to sell on a podcast.
Yeah.
And they tried
Without
some
a
like
podcast.
in-house guys that nobody had ever heard of. And like it just got murdered.
Yeah.
It got killed.
Like,
And they
so
thought,
then-
hey, let's talk to these guys.
Then the next week they rang us and were like, so we know we laid you guys off, but
Please
you want to
will you
come back and do a podcast. And
Yeah.
we gave them a number that
They
we
thought
thought
they'd
was
sit-
so stupidly big
They'd say no.
they would say no.
Mhm.
We don't know
And
how
they
that turned out.
said yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
We had kind of the same experience. Well, first of all, the Inside Gaming podcast thing was absolutely hilarious because they had sold all this stuff and then had no show to fulfill their obligations with. So they were going around asking everyone. At one point, like that's kind of the whole reason that Tugs existed in the first place. Was they were running around like they had their heads cut off, being like, "We need a gaming news show. Who's gonna do the gaming news show?"
Ugh.
And then like we refused outright to do it. We're like, "There's no way that we're gonna like invite the absolute hatred of the collective internet to shit on us for taking over a show that our friends just left."
Mhm.
So we started doing Tugs as like a joke on Machinima, trying to get us to do gaming news because we had no idea what we were talking about, but at least we were being blunt about it on Tugs.
Mhm.
But it was kind of the same thing when we got when we quote unquote mutually decided to part ways with Machinima. They a couple of months went by. They were very nice. They gave us like a nice runway, and then they forgot that they let us go. And so they didn't prepare like any of the like exit strategy for us or our team or like what was going to happen or anything like that. So they were just like, we need you guys to stay on for another 6 months. And it was also another 3 months because they'd also kept selling advertisements.
Yeah.
Wow.
The same thing.
God.
And so me and Elliot, I remember it being like Shark Tank. We were like, let's go in the other room and discuss this. And we came back with like a list of demands and they just said yes to all of them because they had no choice.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So we got to
That's
keep-
so great.
We got to keep our editors and like all that stuff. And they kept letting
Wow.
us film there. It was ridiculous.
Back to you
Jesus.
guys. I looked at your channel recently, like all the way back. It was interesting seeing that period where you were still freelancing for Machinima, but also making more content for your channel and just sort of trying a bunch of different shit. And then you can
yeah.
sort of pinpoint where the going in raw thing like starts catching on.
Yeah.
And there's like cohesiveness to it. And
We have there's one video that we both always like talk about, well, not talk about, but we can pinpoint when we knew it was going to work. Like it was like a good period of like, we had like, they let us do that podcast that they brought us in, they brought us back for about 4 months, and that kept us afloat. And then for another, and then we were doing, we brought back 10 for the win.
Yeah, they brought it
kind of
back,
like an ad split deal.
Yeah.
And that did okay for us at first. And then we were like, well, this is like, but on our own channel, we were just sort of floundering. We were like, we like video games, but we've never actually been, sorry to disappoint anybody who doesn't know what we've been doing since then, but like, we were never really video game guys. Like we found, we found our interests within the realm, but we were never like passionate about it.
Yeah, like everyone likes video games, but no one's Lawrence Sontag.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
There's
we
only
did
one
not have that
Lawrence
level.
Sontag.
Yeah. And so like, it was like, well, this is sort of what brought us to the dance. So, and so we had like a lot of talks about that. Like, what the hell do we do?
Yeah.
And then we just realized we were putting together the pay, because we're like, well, we got to start a Patreon because everybody's doing that. We want to get in on that.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, we had the wrestling podcast, but it was like a sort of a sparse thing. It was like maybe weekly at that point. And we just I was putting together the graphic assets for it. And I realized I understand a lot more of what we're doing on the wrestling side than I do of whatever the hell else we're doing right now. Why don't we just do wrestling? Because we know that really well.
I think of the situation too, where we had this Patreon thing. We're like, do we do one for each thing we're interested in? I think independently, we both came with the decisions like, well, why do the gaming stuff when it's floundering for us? It's not what we're really into. And then one day, I guess, Steve had his epiphany while doing the graphic stuff. And I think I was writing up the description for it. I was like, why are we writing two different pieces of verbiage here when really we only really want to do one of those things?
Yeah.
So we sat down in Steve's would-be dining room, which was his office at the time.
Yeah.
And like, do you want to do gaming stuff? No. Do you? Not really. All right. Well, what about wrestling? Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's kind of
just
cool
made
because
all the
like
sense.
I don't think there was like much of a wrestling podcast scene 4 years ago, at least compared to today. Like there's this whole secondary like media market for wrestling analysis
had like its
now.
third or fourth like rebirth.
Yeah.
With like social media boosting it huge in the past like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, there was, like Stone Cold had his podcast and Jericho did. There's plenty of former wrestlers that had shows. And there was, there's like Wade Keller for Pro Wrestling Torch.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for a while. Dave Meltzer, obviously.
It really
the big
blew
dogs
up.
have been around for a while.
It
I know
really
Stone
blew
Cold
up.
has a podcast, right?
Yeah. He's had his for a while. Jericho's had his for a while. It really, like, we got started, and I remember we started. I always like the idea of like the original sort of inside gaming format where it's like they would do the news briefs every single day, and it's like, well, I wonder if there's a market for that. And we did one. It was like an emergency news thing because like Paige, the wrestler, had been like maybe arrested.
Yeah, I pulled that up on. I give the exact date the things came around for us. June 23rd, 2016.
Yeah, open up your diary. Your success
There we
diary.
go. Paige arrested. WWE pay-per-view schedule leaked.
Yeah. And
3 years
every
ago.
single thumbnail we did with Paige on it did like really good. And we're like, okay, this is actually, it's working now. And we became that. And so, yeah, that's when things like we did we started the Patreon just to be a wrestling channel. And that did pretty decent out the gate. And then we just were like, okay, well, the more we're doing of these videos, originally we launched the Patreon with like a reward system or a goal system where it's like, well, if we get to this level, we'll start doing this many a week.
Yeah.
Well, it turned out that like we sort of had it backwards. And so we thought to ourselves, well, why don't we just do one every day? We'll like do the channel that we want to do and realize that like the patron stuff will follow. And that's sort of how it works. Like the more you're out there, the more like people will follow you and they'll find you. And then the more Patreon stuff you'll get.
Yeah.
So,
it was all kind of learning by doing. We when we signed up the Patreon, we had someone over there that we talked to for a bit and got us started. But after that, it was kind of, we try something, didn't work. All right, let's try something new.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's working pretty well. You guys moved into like a actual like studio a while back, right? Like
about 2 years ago.
office space?
2
Yeah.
years ago. Yes. Yeah.
You're not
2
there
years ago.
now because of the world collapsing.
The itis.
Yeah.
But got the Roni.
The itis.
The itis.
Everybody's got the itis. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's paid off. Like there was a couple, again, like a lot of it is a sort of, as you guys might know also, like there's like a percentage of it that's kind of luck. There's a percentage of it that it's like, oh wow, I didn't realize that would pay off. And there's a lot of like, learning by failing. But yeah, no, like we signed up with like an ad network kind of similar to like you guys have, and that's really ended up paying off for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, things have been pretty good.
Speaking of our ad network, we have to give a shout out to we have some super chats. One from Munku, who says, I remember their top 10s. Being a commercial driver, I am still employed, so here's a little something to help you all out. Well, thank you, Munku. Joshua Martinez with the $5. Finally, it took a pandemic to get you four back together. And then,
Josh is one of our mods. He's the best.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Josh is great.
Alicia Bunch and Juan Ortiz, thank you for the super chats.
So one thing I want to talk to you guys about that I've kind of resisted diving into too deep just because I figured we might talk about it. But the way Vince and the WWE have handled the upcoming WrestleMania event in light of the coronavirus pandemic and just sort of the timing of the announcements around it and the general vibe of whether or not the WWE is actively trying to kill its fan base by forcing them all into a giant stadium.
Yeah, it took a while for Vince to so here's the thing, Vince doesn't believe that illness is real.
Yeah.
And so when you have that frame of mind, when you think that illness is like a thing of the mind, then it's going to be difficult to like convince a guy like that hey, packing 80,000 people in right next to each other when this thing is going on, it's probably not a great idea.
Well, you see, the human body has a limited battery resource, and the only way you die is when you use up all of your batteries.
Right, exactly.
Well, so that was the funny thing about Vince McMahon was I thought that this was because of the way that he has typically responded to things like this in general is I thought that this was going to be the big moment for the XFL. Because the initial rumor was that they were going to play in empty stadiums, which wouldn't honestly. I love the XFL. I thought it was a great season, but still, playing empty stadiums for the XFL would not be that much of a departure for how things were going. Anyway, at that point. But then they canceled it, and I was like, oh, whoa, that's like kind of big. I didn't think Vince would do that. And then 3 days later, it came out. It was made public that a bunch of like teammates had already contracted the virus. So, like, I don't think I think that if they hadn't contracted it, they probably would have gone forward with at least another week or two of games.
Yeah.
Well, I've kind of speculated that's kind of what's going on with WB proper is so far we're not aware of anybody testing positive, but if that were to happen, they'd be hard pressed to continue operating. With the understanding that you don't want someone or people testing positive for it.
A lot of physical contact.
Exactly. You can't necessarily maintain social distancing in WWE ring. There's independent wrestling is a different thing entirely, but WWE so far they've found a way to do it.
Can you? Okay, so there's a bazillion, as far as I know, independent wrestling leagues. Which one's the one that I've seen all of the clips online where they're
AEW?
That's AEW, right? Where they're just like 5 feet away from each other doing like chokeholds, like Darth Vader.
So, yeah, one of the AEW wrestlers, Joey Janela, had a match. It was a social distancing match, and yeah, they would like one guy would be here and he'd Irish whip him, but the other guy'd be like 6 feet away from him and acting as if they're actually. I forget what the name of was
it a GCW show?
It might be related to a GC. It might be part of the collective. Yeah.
Oh, all the independent wrestling leagues. Name your top 5. Wait, no, top 10. Top 10.
Top 10. PWG, APW.
AIW,
sure, GCW. What'd you say?
I'm pretty sure you're already making these up. We're like 5 deep.
Oh wait, Supreme Pro Wrestling here in Sacramento.
Oh yeah, Friendo Unified Championship Wrestling.
CCW.
WCCW out of Texas.
Yeah, there you go.
Do any of them still like wrap baseball bats with barbed wire and beat each other?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure CZW does for sure.
Right, cool.
The CZW, man, if you haven't seen it, Vice, which is like amazing, they did a documentary on the CZW Tournament of Death.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. You guys would fucking love it.
Is this Dark Side of the Ring?
No, it's separate from
What was
that.
the other? They had a show called The Wrestlers or something like that. That were more biographies, I think, right?
Yeah,
Advice,
yeah.
right?
They love their wrestling over
We
there.
did acid and went to an underground wrestling championship.
Yeah.
I watched part 1 of their the season 2 premiere, the Chris
the
Benoit
Benoit, yeah.
episode. Yeah, fucking rough. That was like
Mhm.
right around the time I think I had like my peak period with WCW and WWE was like 97 to 2000. And I sort of fell off once high school was progressing. But
Yeah, that's when everybody was into it.
Chris Benoit, he'd been like one of my favorite guys because he was jumping like 30 feet off of shit and headbutting like tables. I'm like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Turns out it's very bad for the human brain. Turns it into Swiss cheese, and in extreme cases will make you murder your entire family. Yeah, that was a rough documentary because I didn't know that Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit were that close.
Yeah.
And that the 4 guys who had come over, like Malenko and Jericho, the 4 of them had come over together to WWE, and they were basically like a squad of people. And then Guerrero dies, and just Benoit loses his fucking mind.
Okay, so hold on, Elliot. Though, what was your take on the most interesting thing about that whole story is Kevin Sullivan booking his own divorce? What was your take on that?
I don't know if I had heard about that before, but yeah, that was interesting. Like, I assume shit like that. I mean, not that exact scenario, but like, yeah.
Wait, what happened? He booked.
So this-
what is it? Booked his own divorce.
This guy Kevin Sullivan was a wrestler, kind of past his prime, I think, but he was also in charge of booking the matches, like writing them, and he wrote his own character into a feud with Chris Benoit, where he wrote Chris Benoit as like stealing his wife, and in real life, Sullivan was also beating his wife, and she started turning to Chris Benoit as her shoulder to cry on, and then left Sullivan for Benoit, and that's the wife that Chris Benoit later murdered.
So like wrestling is real.
This whole story played out like over months and months, like the on-screen storyline. But like while it was happening, he had sent because he was really big into like staying in character and like not, as they say, exposing the business. So he would send his wife out on the road with him because it was part of the story. So they would actually travel together and stay in hotel rooms together. Well, this led to them just being together. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what if you're actually not happy in a relationship? I can't think of a better way to get rid of your significant other than to do this.
Maybe that was part of the plan.
Yeah.
It could be.
Maybe he knew what he was doing.
That could be.
Didn't we just talk about like I forget who it was recently that you brought it up, Elliot, where like 2 actors like started dating each other. I can't even remember the reference it was, but you're like, oh yeah, then him and the other one got together or something like that. Like,
it might have been Ewan McGregor and the girl from Scott Pilgrim and Fargo, Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, because they're in the movie. Because they were in the movie Harley Quinn and the Fantabulous Bird.
No, before that they were in Fargo.
They were in Fargo together. That's right,
which is great. But they met on set on Fargo, and they both left their spouses for each other.
There you go.
He's like old too. Like
he looks great.
He looks
he looks amazing. I'm just saying, like when you're in your mid 40s, and then I don't know how old she is.
He's got to be in his 50s now.
Yeah, I think he's around 50 and she's like 35. If I had to,
she looks great.
Man,
he's 48.
They both look great.
He's both 48. Do look great. Yeah.
Well, they're Hollywood people. They always look great.
Yeah,
that's right. That's why me and Elliot look so young. We're 73 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Please don't come near us. We don't want the item.
You got to get out there and live your life like the Lieutenant Governor of Texas said.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Get back to working.
Jesus Christ, that guy.
I feel like our grandparents would all agree that the economy can't stand this. And they will sacrifice their lives to ensure that our stock prices go up by 3%.
Yeah, the nonstop all day on Fox has been the normalization of sacrificing lives for the economy.
Dude,
throughout the whole day.
Oh my God.
Trump says we're all going to be back. Everything's going to be back to normal by Easter.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wouldn't it be
If you
great,
look at
folks?
the-
We can get
if you look
the
at the
churches all
graphs-
packed full on Easter Sunday.
The number of cases in New York and Italy are accelerating faster than they ever did at the peak of like when China was dealing with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're over.
I don't
we're
know.
over
I'm a little skeptical that we're going to be through this by Easter.
Yeah, doesn't seem likely.
50,000 cases in 2.5 weeks.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I think we're through the worst of it. I don't know. I think we should all probably just go back to work.
As someone who doesn't understand exponents and how exponential growth works, this has got to slow down soon, right?
Yeah.
Like how insanely impatient, like his attention span is so ridiculous.
I love
that
that the majority of the country did a week at most of quarantine, and they're like, "All right, we tried. We tried. What do you want us to do?
I was supposed to stay
Not
in
go
all
to the
day?
beach for spring break?
Yeah,
You gonna be for the rest of my life? I want out now.
I was at home for a good 12 hours a day. Sure, I went to Walmart, and then I had to go to the home goods store and pick up some soil for the plants, and of course I went down to the Petco. But damn it, I was home the rest of the time, and I did my part.
Did I
You
mention
don't
I
like
stopped by
being
the bar
told
for
I
a
have to
couple
be
drinks?
Yeah, I had to stop by the bar. I was having a lot of anxiety, so I met Bill and Sherry, and we all went down to the bar. But it's fine. They don't have it. They told me they don't have it.
Yeah, we just coughed on each other for 3 hours straight.
Brandon Harrington, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Scizor, thank you very much. Why does this podcast look like a CNN broadcast? Because we are now operating at the same level of production quality as every other major news outlet on Earth.
Everybody's doing Zoom these days.
Yeah, did you guys make sure to buy lots of Zoom stock before this all went down?
No, we're
No.
idiots. We told everyone else to on the show. We were like, if I were you guys, I'd buy a lot of Zoom stock, and then we didn't do it ourselves. There are people thanking us in the comments of like the last video that we talked about it on. So speaking of that production quality, like Howard Stern finally came back on the air after like leaving because of the coronavirus, and this guy's worth $500 million. And everyone on his staff is probably millionaires. And if I remember correctly, like SiriusXM like sent them like home studio equipment years ago in case of something like this, and apparently they've just been like, nah, fuck it, we're just gonna get on Zoom. So all of these people are doing like a multi-million-dollar like radio production show with Apple earpods and just talking on Zoom. And they're all
That's
so old they can't
fantastic.
like figure out how to work anything. So there's like a whole 8-minute clip of like one of the cast members like adjusting his glasses trying to find where the mute button is on Zoom because he was muted for 8 minutes.
You have Baba Booey there trying to find the mutant button. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Is Baba Booey still on his staff, or is that?
Yeah,
is he
no, he's
long
there.
gone?
He's there.
He is. Baba
Wow.
Booey's there.
I
That's
only
great.
know all this because I leased a new car and it came for free with it, so I got back into it.
Oh, that's nice.
Super Saiyan Blast says AEW, to be honest, has been doing a lot better job than the WWE in 2020.
True.
Creatively
AEW,
speaking, that's completely
AEW is
true,
like
yeah.
the most entertaining
I
wrestling
watched
promotion
the
on
first,
TV now.
Randomly because it was on like the first episode on what was it, TBS or something like that?
TNT. Yeah.
TNT. Yeah, I watched it. It was pretty good. I liked it.
It's gotten a lot better too. They went through a brief period where they were still trying to figure out. It was obvious that like they were figuring out which cooks in the kitchen are supposed to be doing what. But like over the past month or so, really since the beginning of the year, so the past couple months, it has been killer. It has been absolutely fantastic.
That's where Jericho is, right?
Yeah.
He's like the big star.
Yeah, and he's amazing. He's
And
fantastic.
Jim Ross is there too, right?
Yeah.
Jim, dude, a lot of the names. Like Jake Roberts is there now.
I can't believe he's still alive. I saw him like trending on wrestling Twitter a few weeks back, and I was like, wait, I could have sworn Jake Roberts died like 20 years ago.
So
That's fucking
technically
crazy
he
stuff.
might have a couple times,
And I think,
but
no, he was dang
he's
close.
still with us.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't DDP like pull him back from the brink
Yeah,
of death?
both him and
along
Scott
with,
Hall, yeah.
Scott Hall. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
DDP is like he's like an inspirational workout fitness guru now, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's got the
Trying to
touch,
save
man.
lives.
Yep.
I think he tried to save that fat guy Boogie's life, but then he just got like a lap band surgery and new teeth.
Yeah.
And then he went out and bought a $100,000 Tesla and begs his Twitch followers for money for it. Anyways,
Isn't it weird, dude? Isn't it so weird though? Like we've been in like the YouTube like structure for such a long time now that
About
all
a
the
decade,
people
yeah.
that made it back in the day, they were all going through these weird, like every once in a while, some of the more popular people from back then, I'll just look up to see if they're doing anything.
yeah.
And it's such a weird world.
Tyler Oakley's a landlord. and he's getting blasted online for it.
A lot of landlords get blasted these days. Who? There's another
Hannibal Buress.
Hannibal Buress. Yeah.
Let's see here. Try to get through the rest of these super chats. Thank you very much, Stephen C. $10 from Canada. Reporting in from Toronto. Let's see. Sean, thank you very much. Thanks for the Tiger documentary recommendation. You're welcome. Daniel,
that's your profile picture, right, Steve? But you put Undertaker's face on.
The Undertaker with the tiger.
Yeah.
And in fact, I offer this up on our Patreon. It's a coloring.
Oh, we
book.
can't see
Oh,
it.
he disappeared.
Oh,
He disappeared,
okay. Wait,
Steve.
there we go. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of this.
All I see
stupid
is Dr.
background.
Anthony Fauci, a hero.
Hold on, Steve. I'll put it as my background. I have it at the ready.
Okay, while you do that really quick, Diacus Prime, $50 super chat. Chris Benoit and Scott Steiner are my favorite wrestlers. Too bad neither one of them will make it into the faux physical WWE Hall of Fame. Then again, that's probably a good thing. Stay safe from the Rona, and working in essential retail sucks. All right, there we go.
What's the deal with Scott Steiner? Other than his weird chest.
He had a heart thing recently.
He's like 60 years old,
And he owns a restaurant in suburban Atlanta.
he owns a Shoney's out there. And
Yeah.
he's getting the
for real?
concave chest
I
thing.
used to love Shoney's. I bet it's not as good anymore.
He's got a concave chest thing going.
Yeah.
That just happens. Like Jericho has that. That just happens to people.
Yeah, you overwork your pecs, the ligaments, they start stretching out.
Oh, is that actually how it goes? Okay.
Yeah, I read about this years ago. I'm probably wrong, but it's
Well, thank you, Diacus Prime.
it's a wrestling thing.
For the sub, or for the super chat. Very generous. Patrick Sparks, Stan G, Rebecca Corrales with 10,000 Costa Rican colons is what they're called.
Wow. Okay.
It's $17. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Diego, I've been watching you guys since 2014. Start chemo this Monday for sarcoma, not fatal, but still cancer. Would mean a lot to hear from you. Love from Chile. Thank you very much, Diego. Good luck.
Thank you, Diego.
With the chemo.
You got
It's
this.
Probably gonna suck, but you'll get through it.
Yeah.
Nick C says the 4 horsemen of YouTube. Thank you very much. Anyways, I wanna get your guys' opinion. I thought it was just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. We were talking about it briefly a couple minutes ago, but the WWE's phenomenal acting and just brilliant production, like editing, with the lack of crowds.
Oh,
The empty stadium where they're still acting in full force.
Yeah. So like the thing is when they train their wrestlers, they really don't teach them how to do an entrance without a crowd, because why would they ever need to do that?
Yeah.
So like when the wrestlers come out now, they do their exact routine, and a lot of the time that incorporates crowd appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like looking around and saying, "Hey, look at you," and it's like there's nobody there. Who are you looking at? Why are you doing that?
yeah. AEW, they had their first empty arena show last week, right?
Yeah.
And it was noticeably different, just in terms, I feel like, in terms of how the wrestlers reacted to the not crowd. And I was kind of wondering that so many of them were not that far removed from working shows in front of 100 people.
Yeah.
That maybe the leap from working in front of 100 people to 0 people isn't quite as vast as opposed to working in front of 8,000 people to 0 people. And they're not like WWE's training is very regimented in terms of there's a well-known WWE way of working.
Yeah.
And part of that is really playing to the crowd and doing that. And I guess there's old habits that are tough to.
Well, so that's what I'm wondering is, like, that's the thing is it was for someone that isn't used to watching it all the time. I feel like the first one back, like they were all kind of like in on the joke.
Yeah.
And you know, it was obviously
with it.
It looked like they were having a lot of fun with it, but like they can't really. I don't know, but I don't think they could keep that going forever. But it looked like from what I was seeing, like the clips of it made it amazing because you're watching like the most ridiculous thing. It's like watching them perform Shakespeare in while practicing in front of an empty house, but taking it as seriously as possible. But that can't go on forever. So how are they going to pivot towards going back to like the storylines?
Part of it too is like that first episode of SmackDown where Triple H was on commentary and just having a blast and kind of poking fun at everybody and everything was great.
Yeah.
Problem is, I don't think outside of like farts and snow cones, Vince really likes fun.
Yeah.
And so he's got a very specific idea of what wrestling needs to be,
Mhm.
and anything that deviates from that, he wants nothing to do with, even if his son-in-law is doing it.
Yeah.
So Steve has a theory, and I'll let him expound upon it more, that Vince saw that, hated it, and then really tightened the bolts come the following Raw.
Well, yeah, there's a couple. I do think that that's the case. I think that SmackDown, like we saw it and we were like, holy crap, this is a lot of fun. It's, Triple H, he was just clowning the whole time. And it's so, not that I really endorse this line of thought, but I understand that you're heading towards WrestleMania. And so it's like your big event. And regardless if you can't put on like this big spectacle, you still have the biggest storylines of the year that you have to drive to.
Mhm.
And they have to, I mean, they're fake, but they're fights.
Yeah.
So there has to be some element of drama there. And so it can't be a clown show all the time. And I do think that Vince probably absolutely hated the fun element of it.
Mhm.
But I understand from their perspective that it can't be like a dude just making fun of your product the entire time, even if it's his son-in-law, Triple H.
True. Yeah.
And so we had even said during our review of that episode of SmackDown, we had both theorized, you know what? Chances are this, because it was so sudden and in the moment, that lent itself to it being fun. But as soon as they have a second to think about it, they're going to overthink it, and all the fun is going to be sapped out of it. And that's literally what happened on Raw. The next episode, it was like,
it was
just
2 hours.
boring.
It was 2 hours and 15 minutes till we got a match.
Yeah.
Of a 3-hour show or a new
And
match.
they've been playing like replays, like from like classic matches from the past, which is fine. You have to fill the time somehow. But yeah, it was obvious at that first episode. It was like everybody's flying by the seat of their pants. This is uncharted territory. They're all improving, and that added such a spark of energy to it. And then all of a sudden, you have a week, or you have a weekend basically to sort of, okay, how are we going to make this what it used to be? Well, you can't. But Vince knows what wrestling is in his own mind, and then it just, all the fun gets sucked out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the status with WrestleMania currently?
It's happening. It's going to be over 2 days, April 4th and 5th. It's going to be at the Performance Center, so it's going to be in front of no audience. Predominantly the Performance Center. It's being
filmed tomorrow and Thursday.
Jesus.
They've got at least 2 matches that could be gimmicked. So like there's one, it's like we're thinking it's going to be a Buried Alive match, which is going to take place in some sort of cemetery somewhere. So we think that that's going to be pre-filmed on location at a cemetery of some sort.
Yeah.
That's going to be AJ Styles and The Undertaker.
Imagine you're like burying your like grandfather, and then like all of a sudden Vince shows up in a semi truck. Yeah, we got The Undertaker here.
The Undertaker and a tiger there.
Yeah. But then you're really excited because you get to see a wrestling match for free.
I know, exactly. It's I didn't want to be here.
This is what Grandpappy would have wanted.
It's what Grandpappy would have wanted. He loved the stories back in the day.
Here, use his grave. So they're recording it this week, and it's it's in April that it'll air.
April 4th and 5th. Yeah.
So we're about about 10 days out.
Yeah.
So it's still going to be pay-per-view. They're going to charge for it.
Yeah.
Well, so if you get the WWE Network, which is like $10 a month, you get it. Or
if you're a new subscriber, I think you get it for free.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
They say that a lot. So
yeah, I remember signing up for a free trial whenever it first started because I was like interested in going back and watching the Attitude Era.
Oh, it's got a ton of awesome. Like I love watching. They've got so much like regional wrestling from like the 80s, which is the best because it's like obviously these guys have like roid zits all over their backs, and it's just they're saying things that like would not fly today. Yeah. So like Smoky Mountain Wrestling and Mid-Atlantic Wrestling.
That's why all the wrestlers they would move to Florida so they could get tans to hide all their steroid zits.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that was a strategic plan.
That no state income tax.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
D Minor, thank you for the super chat. Stan G says no sympathy for landlords. Huey with the $10. Favorite Machinima memories. Been watching you all 4 of you since I was 14 and I'm 20 now. Do you have any good Machinima memories?
Yeah.
Guys?
Oh, we have tons because we weren't there. We were on an island.
We only come for the party, so we had all the good memories.
It was the thing. We would show up, and then you guys and like the Inside Gaming guys, we would just get to hear all the stories that we didn't have to live through.
Yeah.
And it was like everybody has fun when you're just miserable together.
Mm-hmm.
And so, no, all of my memories, anyways, are like really great.
Yeah, you guys would come for like the Inside Gaming Awards.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
Yeah,
the Inside Gaming Awards were a blast.
We'd come for that and E3 and a couple of other times through the course of the year, and it was always fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
When's the next time you're coming down?
It's during the period where they were just spending like stupid amounts of money. They were just throwing money around on like parties as like this thing that startups do where they're like gotta just blow a bunch of money on like fucking parties all the time so people know you're there.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, we're broke. We need money. Please invest. And yeah, like the IGAs at like the Henry Fonda Theater.
Yeah.
That had to have cost like $100,000.
Well, that was
tons.
that was sponsored by Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
Yeah,
that's right.
True.
And then what was his name?
Well, the Porter Robinson, was that he?
Porter
did the show
Robinson
afterwards?
performed to 5 people. It was like me, Sark, Tiffy, Cupquake, Red, and a couple others. And I just remember like they had the after party upstairs, and they had Porter Robinson. This is obviously before he was big, but still, they had him playing downstairs, but we knew who he was. So it was like 5 or 6 of us downstairs, and I remember like going upstairs and like trying to convince people like, "Hey, you should come downstairs." And one of the executives, or not executives at the time, was like, "Nobody gives a shit who Porter Robinson is."
Like, well, why did you pay him to play your party? God
Hey,
damn.
is the guy that laid us off? Is he still in prison right now?
I think he might have gotten out. If he wasn't already released on time served, they probably released him because they were like, "Listen, buddy, I don't know if you are aware of this, but while you were in prison, we kind of had a little bit of a pandemic, so we're just gonna let you go." But I'm glad the world is worse off when he got out than when he left it. So, if just out of spite, I'm glad that he comes home to a wrecked planet.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I think he's out. I think he had like, what is it, 3 months? So
something like that.
Yeah.
Super Saiyan Blast, thank you for the super chats. Fawn North, Zarko Sekovsky, thank you very much. Let's see. Whoop, this there you go. Real GHD. Thank you guys. Thank you. So what are you guys currently up to aside from the show? How's life? You're obviously still fathers. How is that going? We need some dad cast content here.
Yeah, that's what the people really want. That's what we've been advertising all day, is the return of Dadcast. It's either Dadcast or we need to do Winter Movie Preview 2015.
Everything's postponed though. Like all the movies are getting postponed, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. There are no movies.
Holy no movies.
All the Winter Movie Preview 2021.
Yeah,
that's right.
Wonder Woman just got moved back to August, so it's not fully. They didn't take as broad of a stroke as, Fast and Furious and some other movies, but
and Bond got moved into November, right?
Yeah, so Wonder Woman's moved back to August now, which is typically a dumping ground. It's like the hey, last week's of summer, you got nothing to do. Come see the worst movies of all time.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting move on their part. Top Gun hasn't been moved yet, I don't think.
Yeah, the Top Gun, that's very on brand. That's
Top
a very
Gun,
80s way of thinking right there.
We refuse to move away from the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
Real patriots only. Top Gun 2.
Pack the theaters. Cough honey.
So what's up with parenthood?
It's going good.
So I've figured out that I have parented every age through adulthood now, because my oldest stepkid is 21.
Whoa!
Yeah, Lacey started early. Not yet, but that's probably going to happen at some point. So no, yeah, my actual child is 5, and that's when I met Lacey. Her youngest stepkid was 5.
Okay.
So like I have parented the entire spectrum of childhood up to adulthood.
Yeah.
And,
is it still the stereotypical like 2 to 3 year olds is the hardest, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 to 3 was the worst. Was the hardest period.
How old's yours now?
6 and 4. They're about to turn 7 and 5.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, 2 to 3 was the worst. Because
And
especially 3, because they understand more, and that's when they kind of try to actually outwardly manipulate.
Okay.
Rather than just have fits.
Yeah.
That's what I found, at least. But yeah, once you get past that point where you can actually communicate with them and try to reason with them, then it gets much easier.
It's like the sociopath stage.
Testing the boundaries of what they can get away with.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine still tries to test quite a bit.
So what's the like having absolutely no experience except being a teenager? What are the teen years like? Is that like cruise control and you just kind of like they're their own person, or what's up with that?
It really depends on the kid. So like I've got 3 stepkids, and I've got one niece who I had a really heavy hand in raising because we lost her dad like when she was like 4.
Okay.
And so like a couple of my stepkids, like 2 of them are like really mellow. The 21-year-old was a handful at the teenage years, and then my niece is a bit of a handful in the teenage years. Okay. Like she's super crazy good at like academically, but she will say, "I hate you, you're not my dad," in a heartbeat.
Jeez.
And so like we get along better when her mom is like much more heavily involved. Yeah. Like so like whenever like my sister, she goes like for business trips, she'll like go for business trips. And then I'll have my niece, and it's like I love her to death. I love her more than anything on the planet. But like we don't get along great when she's in the same house as me. Mm-hmm. Like she's just that kind of teenager. Yeah. But like the ones that are here, you know, during the week, and then they go to their dads on the weekends, they're like super chill. They just take care of themselves. Like I rarely see them, and they're like actually really cool. So even my niece is really cool to hang out with when she isn't like, I don't know. It's one of those things where if she's not getting her way, she's awesome. I mean, if she is getting her way, she's great. She's fantastic. It's the second she doesn't get her way, it's like, oh, I don't want to be here right now. Yeah. But no, it kind of runs the gamut, like in terms of like what the kid's disposition is. Yeah. Like I've had them say, "You're not my dad," and I've had them like treat me very much like the same way that they would like their actual dad. So yeah. It's all over the map. But yeah, it gets easier like when they're teenagers. Like for the most part, they just sort of take care of themselves. They can figure stuff out. They're a lot of fun to talk to. Like they're like one of my stepkids, like she's really into the nerd stuff like me. So like, you know, we can, if they're like when the new Batmobile, they had like a picture of that. I was like, Summer, look at this. It's like, oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. It's like having little friends.
Do they watch your show?
No. Although my youngest does like watching, especially AEW. She knows who Chris Jericho is. Uh-huh. Cody is her favorite, although my oldest prefers Jericho over Cody. Mm-hmm. So they'll watch AEW with me because that's the one show that I'll watch before they go to bed usually. So they'll watch a little bit of that, but I think that's about it. They don't watch our show though. No.
I'm hoping, as long as everything works right down there, to within the next couple of years have one. What's give me some your top 10 piece of advice for the specific age ranges, baby to like 2, then the crazier years, then teenage years. What are your top tips for child rearing?
The early years, you got to bring baby wipes with you everywhere because you never know when you're gonna have a blowout.
Blowout. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Honestly, the baby years, like just keep them alive.
Yeah, keep them alive and make sure they don't crap on everything.
Like that is the number one thing that's just on your mind the entire time, and it's a lot easier than you think it is because you think it's going to be like the most. They're so fragile when they're that tiny, and you just think that they can die in an instant. Yeah. And I mean, they can. There's a thing called SIDS. That's totally a real thing. But you think that's going to happen always. Yeah. And it doesn't. They're actually fairly resilient.
How long did it take you to like get a good night's sleep after you had your kid? Like, because I would imagine you're up being like, if I take my eyes off of this little human being, it's going to like crawl out or roll over and smother itself.
Yeah, it was. Well, okay. So one thing that I had is that because my wife had populated so much before I even came around. Yeah. I have like trust in her. Like she's done a really good job raising her kids. Yeah. And so it's like I could kind of take some, but still, like, yeah, the first couple weeks, like at the least every couple hours, you're waking up. Is it okay? Okay. It's alive.
Also the baby also every couple hours is waking up to eat. So
yeah. Okay.
Your hand is kind of forced in that respect too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elliot, what was that last background you just had? Was that Gavin Newsom?
No.
Okay, I was just looking by the slick back haircut.
Yeah, I thought that too. I think both our kids were roughly 6 months before they slept before they started sleeping through the night. Although our youngest still wakes up a fairly regular basis in the middle of the night for some reason. But for us, like when they were young, we had a little co-sleeper on the side of the bed, so we could sleep. And then when they woke up, my wife would feed, put them back to bed, and then it was pretty. We have to like they didn't sleep in bed with us because if that were the case, my worry would be like I'm gonna roll over and I'm gonna smush my kid in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
we just had the thing off the side, and then roughly about 6 months in, we started transitioning to their own room.
All right.
So
how about schools? Homeschool, public school, private school? What are we looking at here, fellas?
public?
Yeah, so like we did daycare at a Montessori, at like a private school, and she's there for now, and then she starts kindergarten in August, and it's totally public from there.
Yeah, our youngest is in
private school kid. Roman.
Yeah, they're going to public school.
Nice.
Totally.
Elliot, do you have any questions? Are you going to be a dad one day?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think about it.
Yeah.
especially like right now. Like I don't think about it in general, but like currently, just like the idea of just like, wouldn't it be funny to have a baby during a pandemic?
That's kind of how, yeah, during a pandemic. Exactly.
I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, even like waiting and then having one, it's like having lived through a recession.
There you go.
A recession and 9/11 and now a pandemic. I'm like, fuck, man, my kids are gonna have to live through so much shit that I can't even fathom right now. Like, who the fuck knows what's gonna happen? Who am I to bring a child into this terrible fucked up world, especially this country? But
yeah, it's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. Like Alabama, she was watching her phone the other day. She was watching YouTube Kids or whatever, like a science video talking about the coronavirus. So she's like, hey, they're talking about coronavirus. Like all of her because so she still goes to daycare, but it's also like a school.
Yeah.
And so they're still open. And like their class size has been slashed by like half because
kids are immune though.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so like I talked to like the administrator of the school, and she's like, yeah, we're trying to keep them 6 feet away from each other. I'm like, you have 12 kids in the class and you're trying to keep them 6 feet away, and they're all like ranging between the ages of like 3 and 5.
Never gonna
that's
happen.
how Montessori does it. And so like Lacey was like, how are you going to do that? And Alabama piped up and said, measuring, duh. Listen, kid.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're doing in the class, but the kids do take it seriously. Like,
yeah, it sounds like they're taking it more seriously than like.
Yeah, they are. They are.
The president and several like major government officials throughout the country.
Yep.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad. Yeah.
Yep.
Let me see if we got. I hit up the supporters section on the Discord for some questions.
Supporters section.
Let's see here. Anubis asks, how long do you think it'll take before you start getting a little bit loopy with the quarantine? Like, are you guys coping? How are things going with that? Especially, it's got to be weirder for you because you have entire families with you, whereas like me and Elliot, if we have our wives and that's it.
Yeah, I'm worried. Like my wife, she works at the post office. She like works the window there. I think and like, so I kind of get concerned about that. Like she's worried about it and I'm worried about it because it's like all these yokels coming in and they're like, hey, can I mail this?
Yeah.
And that bugs the shit out of her. So like, my mother-in-law, she calls us the other day. She's like, hey, she's like 70 something years old. And she's like, hey, I'm at Costco right now. What do you guys need? I'm like,
get out of there.
Why are you doing that?
We need you
get
to
out
leave.
Of there.
It's like Star Trek 3. Get out there.
Yeah, the place about to blow up with coronavirus.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, that doesn't really like she don't live here, but it's like that kind of shit really freaks us out because like our parents are old now. Like my mom and dad, they're in Paraguay right now because that's where my mom is from, and they went there like in early March, and I'm telling my dad, I'm like, Dad, don't come back. Don't come back yet. And he's like, oh, I'll be fine. If the planes, I'm like, Dad, you're doing the thing where you're just not caring about something that's very serious.
Yeah.
Because that's what boomers do.
Yes.
And I'm like, dude, do not come back. So finally, I think a bunch of their flights have literally been canceled like way in advance. So I don't think they're even going to be able to come back until like mid-May.
My dad, who I've already mentioned on the show, is a fucking Trump supporter, like conservative old dude. He is not taking this serious at all. I showed Elliot the picture the other day where he was like, how's lockdown? And I was like, I mean, it's fine. It's whatever. And he's like, everything's all good here in Florida. And it's like, it said like, we ain't worried, and did like a thumbs up. And then he sent me a picture of like him and 5 of his like aging friends at a bar drinking beers, like hanging all over each other. And I'm just like,
Jesus.
I'm like, Dad, I'm going to have to watch you die from 2,000 miles away on FaceTime. Like, is that really how you want me to remember you, as a fucking ignorant asshole who took it all the way to the grave? And I guess that's what he wants. Because I called him 2 days later, like this weekend, and I'm like, hey, everything good? And he's like, I got the inside tip. And I'm about to share it with everyone on that's watching. He's like, I got the inside tip. You see these people running around like crazy looking for paper towels and soap? Nobody knows this. You go down to the AutoZone, the Pep Boys. Nobody's thinking about going down to AutoZone to get paper towels. They have the best paper towels that money can buy because they're supposed to pick up grease and oil. They got the best soap
those
that
blue
you can
ones
buy.
are great.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you got our bathroom, our kitchen, nothing but blue paper towels and the best soap money can buy. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, it looks like you're taking it serious. He's like, I'm down on Longboat Key with the motorcycle right now. I'm out of the bar. Oh, okay, so you're not taking it seriously. Well, pick up some more blue paper towels. Fuck.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was telling my dad, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do the e-cart thing where I just order online and they come out and bring me the stuff. And he's like, okay, listen, this is what I want you to do. Get 10 cans of beans. And then the next time you go, get 10 more cans of beans until you have 30 cans of beans.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, why? That's what I'm going to eat. All right. I can handle that, Dad. Just promise
I'll
you don't
be
come back.
expecting 30 cans of beans upon arrival.
Exactly.
Damn
After
it,
your
Steve.
arrivals gate.
Where are my beans?
I see 29 cans of beans. Where's the other beans?
You didn't think I would count the beans, did you? You thought I'd see a big pile of beans and be happy with that. No.
I'm
Stealing
going
my
to check
beans.
your cabinets for beans.
You don't think I can eyeball 30 cans of beans?
I was in Nam. I know what 30 cans of beans look like.
These cans are a little bit light. Did you drain all the delicious water out of these cans?
That can hydrate you for 3 weeks.
You know how good bean water is for you? It's got protein.
I hear bean water cures corona.
That's what the president said.
That's what the president said.
He
And
said,
everybody's drinking bean water.
You got to drink. You take the bean water, you mix it in an aquarium, and there you go. You got your cure. Real DGH, thank you for the super chat. Jeff Kawabe with a $20 saying, I'm a Porter fan, so have the super chat for that story. Thank you. Then we have Lloyd Moore with a $10 super chat. My favorite fathers and sons reunited. Also, if y'all could show Elliot some Orange Cassidy footage.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy's
okay.
great.
We'll send you some stuff. You'll fall in love with them. Everybody does.
All right. Who's Orange Cassidy?
Oh, we can't.
Oh,
We
okay.
can't.
All
We
right.
will send it to you. You cannot explain Orange Cassidy. You have to experience Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, it's better to
Okay.
explain.
All
Yeah,
right.
to experience. Sorry. Yeah.
Joe Jen wants to hear more Machinima horror stories. Let's see, and Quentin Smith with the $5. Thank you guys. I don't know about like we've already been over so many of the horror stories in the past, and you guys don't really have them because you weren't like in
The only like
bunkers every
Machinima
day.
horror stories I have is when I was actually working in the office, and Elliot experienced
Yeah.
some of this. Was doing that Terminator series when we were
Yeah,
working
it was
90-hour
like,
weeks. That was
it was
rough.
a company that had only been around for like 2 years, taking on essentially a feature-length film project
Yeah.
and not knowing at all how the fuck to do that, and also
No.
doing it in the medium of like actual machinima where you're capturing game footage and like trying to build a story around it.
Yeah.
It was just a fucking nightmare.
Well,
Like,
the original scenario wasn't to actually get into the game engine, though. It was actually to machinimate it in the game itself.
yeah,
So one day I was tasked with going in to my office and saying, "All right, here's a script. See how well you can do this in the game." and I'm looking at the script, and there's all this dialogue, and I'm like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to do dialogue? So I was like, oh, there's cutscenes. I'll cap that. I'll grab someone else. We'll redub this shit. Cool. And then like the action bits in the game are scripted a certain way, and it doesn't in any way match up what's going on in the script of the show.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to do this?
Just do it like red versus blue. You just you'll make it work.
And so I go and I have a conversation. I'm like, I don't think this is possible to do in the game. And so our boss at the time comes and sits in with me for a while, and he tried to do it too. And I'm like, so? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So thankfully, then they said, okay, you can actually crack into the actual engine of the game, and they brought a couple of the dudes.
Yeah,
one of the
they flew
developers.
2 guys over from Sweden from the original dev team, who also both lost their minds in the process.
Yes,
Like
one of them disappeared for a week.
Yeah, they made it through actually developing the video game, but when it come to making the game do something it wasn't designed to do, they
Is this
fell
still
into the pit of
online? Is
despair.
it backed up anywhere?
I don't think it's. I think it was never free online. You had to buy it through iTunes.
Yeah, it can still be found though in bargain bins at like Walmart.
Yeah, I think I have a
throughout the
DVD of it
country.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be on like Vimeo or something, like hosted.
Oh, maybe.
Someone's got it on there. I don't know.
I mean, considering the limitations of that we had, it came out pretty good.
What was it called? What was the official title?
Terminator Salvation, the Machinima series.
If anyone can find it online right now, send it to a mod or post it on the Discord so we can see it.
It's not good.
They've got it for $2 on eBay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's not great, and I mean, we had to
Especially
do
11
an
years
episode a
later.
week.
Yeah.
That
Quentin
was
Smith,
insane.
thank you for the super chat. Rod Films asks, any TV shows you guys recommend? I'm really bored since my work and college closed.
Hey, you guys watch The Outsider?
I didn't finish it. I think I have like 2 episodes left.
I finished it. I liked it. I
started
thought
off very strong and sort of got less strong as it progressed.
Yeah. And by the end, like you really appreciate the characters, but like it doesn't get much past like standard horror movie fare.
Yeah, that's
but it's got a really great first 3 episodes.
Yeah, I was hooked at first, and then I don't know, it kind of lost its focus a bit after that. But I need to finish it.
I just started Hunters. The first episode's like 2 hours long, so I only got through that one. But it's pretty good. It's not like as like mind blowing as some of the dramas that I've seen on TV in the past couple of years. But it has some. It's got a lot of promise. There's some. It definitely doesn't hold back on like the violence at all.
Yeah.
Like the opening scene is actually incredible. And then like you get into the actual show after that, and it's really good. It's just I don't know. I have to watch more of it. I am very interested. By the end of the first episode, I was like, I can't wait to see more. It was just like we started watching it at night, and it's a 2-hour series premiere, so wasn't really prepared for that. But then obviously Tiger King documentary is fantastic so far.
It's funny, like just over the past like 3 days, I've heard nothing but like
Tiger King,
about the Tiger King.
Yeah.
So evidently, I have to check this out.
Well, I think it's because like, and I maybe you guys had it differently or whatever, but I didn't even know that this was a thing that was being released or being made. I know that we'd covered Joe Exotic before on Weekly Weird News, but like I had no idea that this was coming out, and it just kind of dropped, and that's why I think people loved it so much, because everyone's got a lot of free time now, and it actually is a really like entertaining documentary. It's also very sad, especially in the beginning where it's like, wow, people are fucking assholes. People are just like hoarding exotic animals. You can do that?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you can.
In Florida, you can.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Devs on Hulu. Very good.
Is that good? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it could just as easily be one of those shows that takes you almost all the way there and then falls apart at the end.
I've heard really good things about Devs. I haven't seen it
But so
myself.
far, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
We've become big fans. Me and the wife have become big fans of 90 Day Fiance. It's the biggest piece of trash you'd ever see, but it's fucking amazing.
Have you guys watched Dark on Netflix?
The German show?
Yeah.
I keep hearing good stuff about
It's
it.
really good. It's really good.
What's it about?
Time travel.
Oh, okay.
But like, it's really fucking well done time travel.
Yeah, it is. It's really well done.
I've been meaning to start Altered Carbon too. I haven't started that yet.
You know, Altered Carbon is a show that I watched the majority of season 1, and it's beautiful. Like they spent it seems like They spent a shit ton of money on it,
Mhm.
but good Lord, the dialogue in that show is like fucking horrendous. It is so
Okay.
melodramatic.
I'll push that one to the back of the list then.
It's got so much good, like I'll always go back to it while I'm doing something else, and I'll watch it on like my big screen.
Yeah.
And it looks great. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
But it's like, holy shit, some of the writing in this show is just abysmal.
There's one show I haven't finished yet, but I am thoroughly enjoying it. Is McMillions.
Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, yeah, I wanna check that
want
out.
to.
The whole show basically it's great. It weaves the story together really well, but like the whole show is completely anchored by the bonkers FBI agent who was just like he's like what every kid imagines they'd be like as an FBI agent when they're a kid, but he like carried it over into actually being an agent who because of this bonkers case was allowed the free reign to just do absurd ideas and sting operations. HBO, if you're listening, just have this guy, like they should get this guy, this FBI agent, to be like a story consultant on like a scripted FBI show where they just come up with scenarios and he has to solve them, but he helps the writers like write what his plan would be the most amazing cop drama ever, because he's such a wacky character, like complete like antithesis of what you would assume an FBI agent would be like. He's the best part of the show.
Check that out.
Samuel, thank you for the super chat. He's saying thank you for the Michael Douglas pussy clip, which pops up every once in a while, and it is probably the hardest I've ever laughed in person.
That is literally the hardest I've ever laughed at anything in my life. Nothing will ever beat that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's sad because I know whenever we get together with you guys, I feel like that standard could never be met.
It'll
again.
never be reached. Yeah. There's no point in even
It
trying.
was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it. Did you guys watch it's like old now, and I'm sad because I don't think they're gonna do the third season, at least anytime soon. Mindhunters?
Oh yeah, I like it.
I
yeah.
watched season 1. I haven't watched season 2 yet. I keep forgetting it came out.
It's really damn good, man. I'm a huge fan of that show.
That's the one where they recreate like the serial killer interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched I didn't see the first season. I watched the second season, the one with what is it, Son of Sam and Charles Manson.
Yes, and they got that dude that did Charles Manson. Holy shit!
Yeah, it
That
was
guy-
incredible. Have you seen the
it was-
video on YouTube where they put it like side by side and how like dead on accurate it is?
Wow.
Because they used the actual recordings for the script. It's
Yeah.
like 90% of what he says is direct from the conversations.
Wow.
Oh wow. Yeah. No,
it's really
he is,
good.
and he looks exactly like him. And I think I know they
It's
put
the same
some
guy who
makeup
played
on.
him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep.
Mhm, yeah.
Which
yeah.
I also watched again for the second time, and it is it's just so good.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
I also just got this huge time waster in the mail. I'm gonna grab a beer anyway, but I'll be right back when I go grab this thing that I got.
All right.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Time for awkward silence while Ricky's
Yeah.
not here. Let's just not talk while he's here.
That guy in Mindhunter season 1 who played Ed Kemper.
Yeah, he's good.
He's really good.
Incredible job.
He is
Terrifying.
incredibly good. Yeah. Season 2, also the Son of Sam Berkowitz. Holy shit. Like
God.
that because they gave him like a little bit of because he's a really odd looking fella.
Yeah.
And so I think they like dolled up his nose a little bit to look like him. Oh God, you're gonna make me sick right now.
This takes me back to my childhood when they did the inflatable theater thing and it was a first person roller coaster ride. I'd get nauseous.
Oh, Elliot's on a roller coaster. So I got
Whoa!
this, one of our people that we used to work with when we did junkets works for a marketing company. So they were like, "Hey, you're in isolation. Here's something to keep you busy," and sent the entire Star Wars saga,
Whoa.
like all of the 9 movies. So there's like 3 watchable movies in here, but
Yeah.
it's like 4K Blu-ray.
Oh, that's awesome.
So this is gonna be a lot to go through, and it
Should have
has,
sent it back and said, "Where's the Mandalorian? Damn it!"
Yeah.
I have my I ordered.
Be as ungrateful as possible.
I ordered the Child back in December, so I'm waiting for my Child to get here.
Yeah, that's not coming.
The baby Yoda, probably not. It's gonna be delayed.
Oh, is there a particular version that's like super high in demand?
I was one of the first ones that was released like for pre-order in December. It's like it's
I
not
got
like
that
it's not the Sideshow collectible one. I think it was like $25. The Sideshow collectibles one's like $300.
Oof.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Oh, he's at the Mayor Pete dance.
Oh my God.
Gray Aria says the Expanse is fantastic. Thanks guys for streaming.
I've heard really good things about it. I watched like the first season of The Expanse, and I really liked it, but like it didn't like make me think, oh, I really have to get back to this now.
Came out like years ago, right?
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah,
I always heard nice things about it.
What I do is I whenever I forget that Shark Tank exists, I just like, luckily enough time will pass where I can I'll log back into Hulu and be like, oh wow, I have 4 episodes of Shark Tank to watch. What a wonderful day it is today. Because it's like the best show. It's like all those I love shows that you can just throw on in the background and kind of like, you know, have dinner or like fuck around on your phone and just have it on in the background. And that one's great because
that was Storage Wars for Steve and I for a while.
Oh my god, Storage Wars was so good in its prime.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the best.
Once everyone realized they were famous, it became terrible. Just like Pawn Stars.
Yep.
Yeah.
I liked what was the crap version of Pawn Stars? It was a
hardcore pawn.
With less gold.
Yeah.
His name was Less
great.
Gold.
I was a transcriber for that show.
Are you serious?
Wait,
yeah,
that must have been amazing.
This was like 2011-ish. I had to go to this building in Burbank and just watch raw footage from a bunch of shows, including Hardcore Pawn.
Wait, Chum-Lee's in prison?
Yeah, he got in trouble for some shit. I don't know if he's still in prison. That was a while ago.
Probably tax evasion. Let's see here. Wait, so Elliot, I have a question. Oh wait, it was drugs. Sexual assault allegations and drugs.
Hold on, I hear my dog out here.
And
the
weapons.
PC police strike again.
Wait, was Hardcore Pawn, was that the one that was based in background? Was that the one that was
Detroit?
In Detroit,
yeah.
Yeah, fuck. Our
Adam
friend,
Landau.
he knows the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a lot of stuff to say.
That one was quite good. Jonah Scott, $20. Whoa.
Hey.
Voice actor in NoHo here. Game and anime production have halted, so I'm stuck inside like you guys, streaming, cooking, and trying not to atrophy. Stay strong, boys. Huge fan. Watch Beastars on Netflix while you're holed up. I would assume that he is the Beastars voice actor, potentially.
Maybe
Beastars. I don't know what that is.
Well, Jonah, you're my neighbor, so if I see you over at the arcade bar when we all get done with this, I'll buy you a round of Pac-Man. But no,
that
no
looks
going
cool.
to the bar. No going to the bar now. Elliot, where are you getting this? Is this from like Story Blocks or whatever?
Yeah, Story Blocks. We have a license, so I'm using it.
Okay. Robert Cox says Avenue 5 is really funny. Hugh Laurie, Josh Gad. I keep seeing ads for that on HBO, but it kind of just looks like that Seth MacFarlane space show. I don't know.
Oh, the Orville.
It didn't
well,
really
it's made
jump out to me.
It's made by the Veep people. But
Armando
yeah,
Iannucci?
but I'm not a huge fan of Josh Gad. So there's I'm conflicted about
Josh
that.
Bad.
Josh Gad is Josh Bad.
I don't think I don't mind Josh Gad. He was okay in that Beauty and the Beast movie.
To me, he'll always be the unfunny Jonah Hill. Whenever I see him, I just think that they couldn't get Jonah Hill.
I guess so. But then if that was the case, then Josh Gad would be starring in the new Batman movie.
Mm-hmm. And Jonah Hill would be voicing Olaf.
Yes, exactly.
No, the idea is Jonah Hill's a step above him.
Oh, it's not a 1-for-1 trade.
No, it's not a trade. It's like
gotcha.
he's trying to be, the idea is then like in 5 years, Josh Gad will direct a movie about like the early 90s or like the late 90s.
At this point, I'm sure Jonah Hill's doing just fine, but being Olaf in Frozen has got to have you set for life.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're probably right about that. He's probably richer than Jonah Hill, huh?
Well, he's already locked in with Disney because he was in Beauty and the Beast and Frozen.
Oh yeah.
He's probably going to be in a bunch more. So he's
the Frozen 2 money had to have been huge for him.
Oh yeah.
He did he got on the Disney retirement plan early, where like if you're a comedian, you get all your raunchy stuff out of the way in your 20s and 30s, and then you start starring in Disney films in your 40s and 50s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're like Tim Allen, you like start selling drugs in your 20s.
Yeah.
And then you go to prison.
And then you're out.
And then in your 30s, you become like a stand-up comedian. And then in your 40s, you're set.
I'm really excited for the Home Improvement reboot with Little Xan.
Wait, what? There's a Home Improvement. What?
No. You see, it's a joke because he's the guy that ratted out on everyone in the prison in New York.
Oh, he's that one?
Oh.
And
that's
Tim
right.
Allen
I thought it was-
ratted out his buddies, and
Oh, yeah,
deep
that's the
cut.
one I know about. Yeah.
this is like getting booed at an open mic night, guys. You've
Yeah.
really hurt my confidence.
If you have to explain the joke, it's not a joke.
You suck.
Boo!
Boo, tomatoes thrown at you.
We need those tomatoes. Don't throw them.
Because
Oh,
when
it's true.
you say reboot, like they reboot every fucking thing these days.
Yeah.
Thank you, Becky Samuels in chat, who got the joke.
Good job, Becky.
Let's see.
We're too fucking old for jokes.
Yeah, we're
man.
too old for that.
Steven Larson, what is your favorite video you've ever worked on? That's from Stan in the supporter chat on Discord. Oh, sorry, everyone got it. Okay, I was wrong. It was Tekashi 6ix9ine. I've got my mumble drug rappers messed up. Lil Xan is the
Boo.
dead one, I believe.
Lil
So-
Xan's dead.
Is he? I think he is the dead one. So sorry, that's Tekashi 6ix9ine. I have boomered myself into oblivion.
Yeah.
The favorite. I don't know, man. I'd say like honestly. So
Is
okay,
Lil Xan dead?
I know this is. It's Lil Xan dead. I know that like this is a cheat answer probably because, but like when we hung out,
He's
with,
not dead. Sorry, everyone. He's not dead.
Nah, he's dead. He will be.
Lil Xan's the one that did the song with FaZe Banks, I think.
you
Okay.
guys are too plugged in, man.
Good
Okay.
shit, man. That was dope.
Great shit. That was dope.
Oh, I'm gonna slink back in my chair. Talk about your favorite thing you've worked on.
It's honestly like I don't know, like so there's two things. There are videos that I'm proud of the final product, and there's videos that I had a really good time working on. And I can't think of a video I had more fun working on than the summer movie preview with you guys.
Yeah, that was damn fun.
Because
That
it
was
was
a good
like
one.
we had been laid off. I think we were just there to like, I don't know. I think maybe we were there to turn in your computer, Larson, weren't we? Or something like that? Or did they bring us down for the inside gaming like
Fuck
thing?
if I know. I don't know, man. I know that we did make the trip down because I didn't want to pay. Well, it was Kovic's birthday
Yeah.
the following week, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we're going to go down for that. I don't want to spend however many dollars it's going to take to mail this fucking tower back to him.
Yeah.
So we'll just go and drop that off. That won't be awkward at all. And we'll go to Kovic's party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if we did the summer movie preview then, if that was another time we were there. Because we
I
were
think
there
it
that
was-
one time when
It
they
was,
brought Danovich
whatever
back.
whenever Ant-Man was coming out.
I guess whatever year that
Yeah.
was. What year did Ant-Man
Oh,
come out?
let me
This was
check.
like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
That would have been 2015. That might
yeah,
have been
2015. Yes.
Yeah.
And then it could have been when for that then. It could have
But I don't know. We did like a couple like 10 for the win sort of short film type things.
Yeah.
Like we did like an E3 like documentary like on the road to E3 thing that I was really happy with how that turned out. So it was probably one of those. Anytime we got to actually go out and like, you know, exercise our filmmaking muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always love that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Slade dropping 40 bones. Oh my God, is that
Oh,
Steven
damn.
Larson from back in the day? Also, money for a beer for each of you. But since we're on the topic of this particular person being like, wow, it's Steven Larson. Before we forget, where can people find you right now?
Well, if you're not into wrestling, you're not going to care. It doesn't matter. If you have any interest whatsoever in WWE, New Japan, AEW, anything wrestling related,
AAA.
we have a podcast. We have a channel called Going In Raw where we do a podcast. We actually brought back. We trademarked the 10 for the win. And so we brought that back as like a wrestling top 10 thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a new thing. And then I took the old logo and I made shirts out of them. So you could buy that. If you're a fan of the old 10 for the win stuff, you can just buy shirts now at friendomerch.com.
There you go.
So yeah,
I'm
we're
linking
totally
your Twitter and your YouTube channel in the chat
Perfect.
right now.
Thank you.
There we go.
yeah. So yeah, if you're into wrestling, then come check us out.
Yeah, we got something going up every day.
Yeah. Because it's YouTube and you have to do that. Otherwise, you're going to go broke and die.
The algorithm.
Yeah.
The algorithm. You got to satiate the algorithm.
We're all slaves to the algorithm.
Let me see if I got any more questions here in the thing. I'm gonna assume that no one here has played Half-Life Alyx.
No, I do not have a VR thing.
I don't play video games anymore. Once I got laid off, I stopped playing video games.
Out of spite.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like exclusively a VR thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, fuck that.
So I don't know. Have you guys commented on Animal Crossing? Someone's asking me to explain Animal Crossing to you.
I don't know anything about it.
Oh, okay.
See, that sounded like a courtroom testimony right there.
I
don't know anything
Oh,
about it.
how can we?
I don't
forget-
recall.
don't
when we
ask
were
me a
talking
damn
about-
thing.
When we were talking about TV shows, how can we forget Succession? It's like
Oh,
the
yeah,
best,
Oh, I
Succession's
love
great.
Succession.
That show was
Yes.
so good.
best show
I've been
ever.
meaning to watch it. I've been meaning to watch
Holy shit,
Oh, it's
Ricky,
so
you'll
good.
love it.
It's so good.
Yeah,
All right.
It's a weird show because it's like 90%
Too
depressing
short to make it
and
super short.
enraging and 10% funny. And somehow that balances perfectly.
I was
Like
telling Steve
nobody is likable in that show, and yet
No.
it works perfectly.
because I was telling Steve, I can't think of any show I've ever watched where I'm sitting there watching it and I'm yelling at the characters not to do something.
Yeah.
Like there's
they're
one
all
episode in particular, I'm
terrible
like,
people.
don't do that. Whatever you're doing, don't do it. I never do that. I
Yeah.
never get that invested in a show.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, the guy who created Succession is the guy who created Peep Show, the
Oh, okay.
British
I love
sitcom?
Peep Show.
with Mitchell and Webb. It was on for like
I have
15
not
years.
even heard of that.
Oh my god,
it's a
incredible.
very good show. It's extremely funny. Like I was shocked that it's the same guy who made it because it's just could not be more different.
Huh.
But
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
if you've seen Mitchell and Webb look, it's those guys, but it's a sitcom done in first person.
yeah,
Okay.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
God
it's
damn,
good.
it ran for a long time.
Yeah, it's really really good. You should check it out.
All right, I'll
It's
definitely check
it's
that
got
out.
to be on like Hulu or something at this point.
Yeah, it's in a lot of places. It's on it's on Prime. Looks like you can stream it on Prime.
Boom, there you go. You
Cool,
got
that's cool.
now you got something to watch.
Yeah, internet.
Vidmontis something. Thank you for the super chat, Jojen. Share your most embarrassing story. It's always hard to pull those out of nowhere without preparing.
I
for it.
actively try to suppress them from my memories.
Yeah, you'll have to ask
Pull out.
me if you want to know my embarrassing stories. You'll have to ask me at 12:30 at night when I'm trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of need to buy me a beer if you want some of my most embarrassing stories.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to go to sleep and I get like the douche chills and the douche shivers from like remembering something I did when I was 19, then that's the only time I really remember it.
You know what? I'll give this one, Larson. This is an appropriate. We can tell this story. So we were sent out. We used to have a decent relationship with 2K Games, and they sent us out for like the release party for one of the WWE games 3 years ago, I
I
guess.
think it was it 17? 2K17?
I think it was something like that.
Yeah, it was because it was SummerSlam 2016. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
2016, we went out to SummerSlam. It was in New York. And we got to interview some of the superstars of the WWE. Like you guys did a lot of interviewing. We were never good. I hated interviewing with a passion. But we're big boys, so we put our big boy pants on and we did. They had like a cheesy little like red carpet setup thing.
Yeah.
And so we found like room. We set up our camera. We just sort of waited, and we were trying to like it was like a bartender. It was like trying to like get a bartender in a busy bar trying to get their handlers. So like what we were able to, we got like a couple interviews, and like I think we did the Miz first, and he was great. He was very like put you at ease. And then like we had Charlotte Flair, and for whatever reason, and the funny thing is like given like what she's done in the business and like who her dad is, you would think that you would have any number of questions, of icebreakers. I fucking froze. Oh, there's the game. I fucking froze so bad. And then I turned to Larson, like she's standing there. We have her. I turned to Larson and I said, do you have any questions? And he just said, no.
I said, I can't think of anything. We both just froze up.
And then she very graciously, she said, because she was like a bad guy at the time. She's a heel. She's like, guys, I'm not anything like my character. And that really put us at ease. And then we just sort of started shooting the shit. She was so cool. She was so nice.
Yeah.
It's like
But
the
it was
Bruce
like-
Green question at E3.
Yes, it
The
was
clip that's
exactly
been
like
going around
that.
for years.
Oh, that's still one of my favorite things
I
ever.
think
Oh God.
on that end, I was hosting I was there for a junket, but they were like, hey, would you be down to host this Facebook live Q&A with it was Will Arnett and the Medea guy,
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry. Yeah, and so when I got there to do it, they were both sitting on the couch, and I'm sitting there, and like the person that was running like the Facebook Q&A thing, like they like didn't have reception. They had to find the Wi-Fi code. So there's just like 15 minutes of like these guys just sitting there, and I'm just like trying my best to like be funny, but also feeling extremely awkward because I'm sitting across from like two like huge actors who very clearly know each other very well because they just worked on this movie together. But I'm just like trying to crack jokes and like have a good time, and they're just having none of it. And I'm just like, all I want to do is leave this room as soon as humanly possible. And the Q&A went fine because like, you know, they turn on for the Q&A. It was just like, oh no. Oh geez, I'm trying to break the ice here and it's just not working.
That sucks. That's the worst. Goddamn.
Yeah.
I hate interviewing people with a passion.
I'm not a fan of it either.
Yeah. So this year, for whatever reason, I don't know why, our relationship seemingly with 2K came to an end.
Yeah.
We never heard from them that they're going to do another interview thing. We saw other YouTubers go out and do interviews with them, so I know they had a thing. And it's like, okay, cool, whatever. Like maybe they just think, you know, these guys aren't really doing gaming stuff. And, you know, there seems to be a line that the WWE in particular won't cross with, like, they call them dirt sheets, which is like a term for people who try to dig up the inside scoop, the behind the scenes stuff that the WWE doesn't want getting out there.
Yeah.
So like reasons why wrestlers won matches or lost matches, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, okay, maybe we crossed too much into that territory and they sort of realize that. And so that's we're not going to. Or maybe I just fucked up the last round of interviews last year. Yeah. It could have been that too.
Don't
know,
ever get those guys back in here.
It could be because there is some comedy moments from last year that I'm not hugely proud of. But
those
for whatever
were bits.
reason,
Jesus, they were bits.
And I was kind of relieved this year when they didn't bring us back out. I was kind of secretly hoping, like, I don't really want to do this. It'd be really good for us, like in terms like business wise, it'd be great.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't want to do it because I just don't like being in those situations. Sure enough, they didn't send us out, so it was like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna ask anybody anything.
And then the game wasn't good either. So
yeah, the game is like
terrible.
the worst they've ever put out.
Oh, it's terrible. It's awful.
The glitches are very funny though.
Oh, they're hilarious. Yeah, I enjoy that stuff. But like they literally tried to suck the fun out of the gameplay too.
Yeah, they did.
Elliot and fucking Larson just like switched sides somehow.
I think Larson dropped out for like a second.
Yeah, my camera froze, so I had to restart.
His camera froze, so then Elliot took the lead for quality camera stuff.
We were actually pretty stoked when we didn't have to do junkets anymore. To be honest.
I would imagine so. Yeah, it's a great feeling. Like
I your miss careers. The travel. I did not miss the travel at first, and now I'm kind of like, oh yeah, okay, I'd probably go to New York every once in a while. That'd be fun.
I always enjoyed that stuff. Because we did the same thing. Like we got to go to New York. We found time in the day to kick around. I always enjoy the travel. It's fun, but I hate doing that stuff.
Yeah, the interviews are always nerve-wracking. Well, like that one in 2016 where we froze up for the Charlotte. Part of the problem with that is we didn't know who was going to be there. We had no time to prepare anything.
There was zero prep. Yeah.
So we walk in the door and here's a list of who's going to be here, and we're like, all right, and we don't know who we're going to get exactly because it was a red carpet. But rather than having people walk down the red carpet, they were having wrestlers just camp at spots and making people move around to interview them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and there's always this like protocol too of like, especially when you're doing a junket, it's like unless it's like predetermined that you're going to be doing something goofy, there's like first of all, there's 10 people in the room watching your every move. They have the actors' reps just off camera. They have your reps where they're standing over your shoulder being like, you better just ask the same 10 questions that everyone else is asking or else you'll never be invited back. Don't ask about any, like you'd interview like I don't know, like say you were going to interview Robert Downey Jr., but it's a Robert Downey Jr. movie that has nothing to do with Marvel
stuff, yeah.
But Avengers is going to come out in like 4 months, and that's what people actually care to hear about. But they're like the first thing, like right when you get to the door, hey, by the way, no questions about Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like,
then why am I fucking here? Then what is the point here?
Because they want your audience. They want your audience to hear the same 10 answers that the local Fox station in Phoenix gets to hear on the morning news.
Yeah.
Yeah. My experience with junkets was always like, if it was a movie that I liked, it was a great time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But most of the time, it was just whatever trash they were handing me. And if they were movies I didn't like, it was It was terrifying to me because I'm like, I don't know what to talk about with these people.
Yeah.
They're gonna know just based off of my face and how I'm acting that I don't care about this at all.
Hey, Larson.
You know the story, don't you?
I know, it's great.
So my first job out of college was working for this little entertainment news studio in Burbank. And so I was hired on to be production assistant for another show, but the entertainment news division came over and kind of swooped me. And so what they would do was send me out on a couple junkets, the ones no one else wanted to do pretty much. One of them was Corky Romano. I don't know if you remember that movie.
Yeah.
And so the course of an afternoon, I got to talk to Chris Penn, Peter Falk, who was amazing. Peter Falk was amazing. He was such a sweetheart.
Love Peter Falk.
And then, of course, Chris Kattan. So it is the same thing. Like, I'm asking the same question. I'm sure everybody else is. And then afterwards, I'm getting up, and he was really nice. And he was like, "Hey, what'd you think of the movie?" And if any of you have seen Corky Romano, it's not good.
One of the worst movies of all time.
And so I'm like, "Oh, it was all right." And I was like, "Oh, it was fine." And he looks at me like this. Thanks. Felt bad for the guy.
He had to know.
Oh yeah, he knew.
Elliot, I loved your interview with The Rock.
Yeah, see, that was a fun one. Like, it was a real mixed bag. Like, I don't really miss it, but I have a lot of fond memories. And The Rock was the first solo junket I ever did. Mm-hmm. He's an amazing person. I don't know how he has as much energy as he does, because like most of these guys, they're doing 8 hours of junkets, and the little podunk digital YouTube channels, they get the end of the day. I mean, there were a few cases where like actors I was supposed to interview, it just didn't happen.
They're like, I'm going back to the hotel. Screw this.
Yeah, they're like, they got tired. They're done for the day. But so like The Rock, I mean, I think I got him like towards the end of the day. I went like after fucking Smosh, and like they knew what they were doing. Like, and so I was just like, fuck, this sucks. But yeah, he was super fun. He was totally into it.
There's plenty of like, I have great memories of certain actors, but a lot of it was just kind of whatever. But those really good ones, they do stand out. Mike Shinoda was great, and we had him on the podcast afterwards. Which was awesome. Like a year later. There's it's always great when the actor is great and willing to have fun.
You know what? My favorite one actually was probably Denis Villeneuve for Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'd have been great.
And it wasn't even like, I don't even think it was a particularly interesting interview. It was just like cool to be talking to this guy who I consider to be like a complete fucking genius.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he was happy because I had like really specific questions for him, and he seemed like stoked to actually be talking like technical stuff instead of just general.
Oh, I'd imagine so.
Super nice guy too.
That's cool.
Oh yeah. Speaking of having the old podcast that we used to have with access to people like that, anytime any actor would come in for the podcast in person was incredible, because instead of getting 5 minutes in a hotel room, we got to have an hour where you can actually have a conversation instead of like marking off. I
love the one you did with Oscar Isaacs. That was so good.
Oh my God. He was
great.
That was amazing.
Yeah. That was like he had just gotten cast in Star Wars. Star Wars wasn't even out yet.
But it was still like he was there doing the press for Ex Machina, which was an incredible movie.
Oh, fantastic movie.
Yeah.
What's his name? I'm drawing a blank. The kid from Lord of the Rings. Fantastic. He was
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood was a blast and such
a
nice guy.
Yeah.
Charlton Copley twice.
Charlton Copley is probably one of the coolest that we've ever interviewed.
Yeah,
he stayed and hung out with us for like an hour afterwards.
Oh, that's cool.
He left and then came back 5 minutes later. He's like, my driver's not here. Hey, so I used to work in video production. Show me around the studio. So he like gave him like a tour, and he like kind of knew his stuff. And he's like, man, I came up at the wrong time. Like back in the 80s, you had to go through this horrible TV studio system. Now you guys, you can just shoot it in here.
That's pretty cool.
I'm very impressed.
At what point did you guys sort of was it when you left Machinima that you decided to go the route that you've taken at this point?
We lost pretty much like 90% of access just because it's all through PR, and to get on something like that, they want those big names. Like even if it's a digital outlet, like there connections that were made that we didn't make in the first place. We've kept
We
in
could have
contact
probably
with a couple of
followed
them,
up
but-
on them and been like active about emailing like PR reps, but we just didn't because I'm like,
yeah, it's really not
At a
that big of a
certain-
deal
yeah.
because it's like it really doesn't mesh with the content that we do now anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, we got to do the Zombieland thing that came through an old contact.
that was fun.
We still have contacts with like Universal. We're really good friends with the Universal people. It's something we'd like to do in the future. It just has to work with what we're doing now, which is kind of different. Oh God, we've lost him.
I'm back.
He's back.
I can hear the kids getting restless, so we can we'll end the stream here in a second.
Yeah, it's been really cool, like seeing how our careers have sort of paralleled each other
Yeah.
because it's seemingly we've gone through very much the same thing, and like we've been able to pivot because it's obvious that the stuff that you guys are doing now is something that you like legitimately are interested in doing,
Yeah.
and it's reflected by your success because like you found this audience that it's like if they want their news, they will come and get it filtered through you guys.
Yeah.
And they have that trust in you. And it's like, obviously what we talk about is a lot less consequential than what you guys talk about. But it's like, still, we have like a passionate fan base, the same way you guys have a passionate fan base. And it came from something that like, we were never really into video games, but we sort of got our first, amount of success because of them. And we're able to pivot into something that we were really into. And you guys have basically done the exact same thing.
Yeah, no, we've been very blessed that the lovely audience has followed us, and that we've been able to pivot into something that we enjoy doing and creating content that we ourselves control instead of going into an office and spending 50% of our days dealing with corporate bureaucracy instead of making videos. So.
A lot of great careers were planted at that terrible, terrible company.
And
That's
luckily,
true.
everyone that is actually passionate about what they do seems to have been very successful when they left.
I know, it's really cool. There was like just a shit ton of talent at that place, and it's sort of proven out that way,
And it was just squandered by the corporation behind it.
Seriously, the amount of talent that place had, and the fact they just pissed it all away. Holy crap.
Yeah, it was, you hate to see it. But also, it planted the seeds for success in ways that we would have never seen coming. So,
Absolutely.
like imagine right now.
We need to do this
perfect
a lot
example,
more often, though.
Yeah, but like a perfect example would be right now. Like if me and Elliot were still if Machinima existed and we were still at Machinima doing ETC, we wouldn't have shows going up right now because the office is closed because of coronavirus.
That's
And
true.
we'd probably be fired.
Yeah, they'd probably would have just let us go because of it. So, all right, I'll let you guys get back to your families.
All right, I got to go pick up my little one, too. And I got
Yeah,
my dog just bugging me right here. What do you want? Go away. All right. Anyways, the stream's going to end if you like it or not. So, hey, we got to do this again. We'll have to come down to LA when all this craziness ends.
Yeah, please come down. Please come down and join us. We would love to have you. And
for now, though, you're up in the north and stay indoors.
Stay indoors.
Yeah, everybody
we're trying to.
Stay inside, everyone.
It's an anxiety attack just to go to the grocery store for me, so I'm totally fine staying indoors.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, guys, and everyone watching. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for the super chats and all that.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
I'll link their channel again in the chat and their Twitter account again in the chat. I'll do your official ones, and then if people will find your personal ones.
Yeah, it's easy to find.
We linked all the personal ones on our tweets about the stream, so go there. All right, thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone. Everyone say thank you to Steven Larson in the chat. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.